Hi guys, today we're going to be going through 4 different types of glass breaking transitions in Davinci Resolve. If you ask for it, you're going to get it. And guys, I'm sure you're going to love this. Let's get to it. The first one is a particle glass break-ish kind of transition, pulling the cross dissolve transition. Set the length to 2 seconds, click on it, convert it to Fusion Cross Dissolve, then open it in the Fusion page. Disconnect media out, delete Cross Dissolve. Let's rearrange things a little bit. Let's pull in a merge node, then pull in an ellipse node. Let's bring in a displaced node. Connect the ellipse in the displaced node, bring in a fast noise node, adjust the alpha, then increase contrast, change the gradient to radial, drag the center, go back to noise and increase detail a little bit, increase scale a little bit, and let's drag the gradient just like that. And let's connect the displace to, I don't think this connection is correct. So let's connect that. This should be connected to the yellow input of the displace and the fast noise to the green input. Now we have that small displace there. Let's adjust the ellipse. Let's right click on height, connect that to width, multiply that by 0.65. And then we have something like that. Let's increase the refraction strength on the displace. Something like that. Let's pull in a transform node, connect the output of the displace to the transform node, connect the transform node to the green input of merge 1, increase the transform to 1.5, connect from the displace to the background of merge 1, then go to merge 1 and set the operator to held out. Now let's animate the ellipse. Modify with anim curves, set it to 1.165, ease into quad. To the sign, is that right? And 5. Then so let's play it, see that, which is what we want. Then let's arrange things. Let's bring in a mosaic blur in between displace and transform and merge 1. And set the pixel frequency to 7.5, change that to triangle. Let's play it back and see what we've got. Okay, let's go to mosaic blur, the anti-aliasing, change it to 0.125, 0.1. Let's move forward and see how that looks. That's fine. Moving on, bring in a merge node, pull that forward, connect merge 1 to the mask input of merge 2, connect media in 1 to the foreground of merge 2. Then we bring in a background node, drop the alpha to 0 after connecting it to the background input of merge 2, drag that to the viewer, and we move forward frame by frame. We see how it wipes on. Good. Next we bring in another merge node, rearrange things a little bit, connect media in 1 to the foreground of merge 3, connect the background node to the background of merge 3. Then for the mask, we drag it from the mosaic blur output to the mask input of merge 3. And now let's bring in a particle emitter node and change from style. For particle emitter, change it to bitmap and connect. Let's create a particle for particle emitter. Let's bring in a background node. Set this to 1080 divided by 4, not 5. Let me change that back to, yeah. And then set the width to 272. Drag that to the viewer. And let's change the color to white. Right, let's bring in a polygon mask. Connect that to the mask input of background 2. Let's just draw a random polygon. Like that. Cool. Then we can connect this to the particle emitter. Let's go to region. Let's change region to bitmap. We can connect merge 2 to the grain input of merge 1. So we have that. So we connect this to that. You go to controls for particle emitter, set the number to 5, number variance to 0, lifespan, leave it at that. The color, change it to use color from region. The velocity, change that to 0.75. Versus variance, increase it a little bit. Then for Z angle, change that to 90. And that should be that for spin. We can just increase the Y to a little bit, right? 123.177. Control Shift Space. Bring in particle turbulence. Then bring in particle render. Now for the turbulence, let's increase the Y strength to 10, the X strength to 3, and the Z strength to 4. Density, drag it to 100. Then for P render, drag that to the viewer. But this time, let's pull in a transform 3D node, and let's pull in a renderer 3D node. Connect those together, change that to OpenGL renderer. And for transform 3D, let's change that to 1.43. And let's drag render 3D to the viewer. Let's go to particle emitter. Let's even see what we've done. Okay, and we go to particle renderer, kill patterns that leave that view, so that way it doesn't keep computing stuff after it's left the view. Great. Now the next thing we need to do, this merge, we put it under here. Let's move this polygon here. Let's bring in another merge node. Connect this to the renderer 3D to the foreground, and merge 3 to the background of merge 4. Drag that to the viewer. Now for this merge 3, if I drag that to the viewer, you'll see that it is actually, it's wiping this way. I wanted the mask to be inverted, so I go to settings, apply mask inverted, then I go to merge 4, drag that to the viewer, play that, and we see something like that. We need to make some adjustments to the particle emitter to make it look better. So I make a few adjustments, and yeah, can work with that. Can adjust the velocity. You see I increase the number of the particles to 8 on the settings there. And let's connect that to merge to media in 2. A merge 5 is created. Now let's create a pipe node to connect media in 1, because we want to make this into a transition. Let's pull in a merge node between media in 1, then another merge node for media in 2, drag a background node in, connect that to the merge, swap inputs for both of them. Then for the background, let's just rearrange things. Yep. And we're ready for making it into a transition. Let's select it. All the nodes, create macro, file, save as group, fusion, templates, edit, transitions, and close. If you go to edit page, let's copy this whole thing here. Let's paste it. Delete this transition. Let's search for that transition particle. My particle explode. And let's play it. And that's the way it is. It doesn't look so tight, but that's that for that. Now there's this breakup effect by this channel. All these channels that I'm citing here, I put the links in the description. So let's go to Fusion page after pulling in cross dissolve. Let's adjust the view. delete the connection, delete cross dissolve. Let's drag media in one to the viewer, pull in the polygon node. Five times. Now let's drag polygon 1. Let's create polygon 1. Click on there, just create a random break kind of look. Like that. And for polygon 2, let's drag polygon 1 to the view. You see that? Let's connect this polygon 2 and drag polygon 2 to the left viewer. Connect that. I'm just making big size shards of glass looking shapes. I don't want to create too many polygons, because for each shard of glass, I'm going to have to create a different mask. So I do this for all the different polygons. Polygon 3, draw it like that, connect that, and like that. Make a few adjustments, make sure it aligns perfectly. Go to polygon 4, let's make that, speed it up a little. We get the drift of how you create all the polygons. So now all the polygons are created. Adjust that. Great. Let's disconnect all of them. Let's pull them down a bit so that we can access them. Let's pull in merge node for each of the polygons. We're going to pull in 5 merge nodes. And let's bring in a background node. Drop the alpha to 0. Connect that to the background input of all the merge nodes I just pulled in. And for media in 1, connect that to the foreground input of all the merge nodes I just brought in. Then for polygon 1, position all of them beside each of the merge nodes. Now connect each one to the mask input of their respective merge nodes. Great. So for each one, you see the different shards of glass. I drag that to the left viewer, merge 3 to the left viewer, merge 4 to the left viewer, merge 5 to the left viewer. Now let's bring in an image plane for each of the merge nodes. Connect them up to the image planes. Now bring in a merge 3D node, connect all of them to the merge 3D nodes. Then drag merge 3D node to the left viewer. You see everything is connected together. So let's bring in a transform 3D node for each of the image plane nodes. Just like that. Like that. Like that. And like that. So for each of the transform 3D nodes, I want to now adjust the position of each of the shards of glass in quotes. I'm going to make a few adjustments. The X is not important. Let's go to Z, move it forward a bit because we want to extrude towards the screen. Then I want to flip it up like that, but it's flipping at the wrong point. So I'm going to move the pivot point up. So I expand that, move the pivot point up. Then let's go to that, then flip it up like that, which is cool. Then I want to rotate it on the x-axis too. Pivot point, I'm moving it to the left so that it's at the corner of the image, so I can flip it that way. Great. So I do the same thing across all the shards. So I'm just going to let you watch as I did for each of the slides, each of the shards, so to speak. So when we run, let's see. Maybe I should speed up the spots. I want you just to see it. You can Just keep like 10 seconds or something. Let's move the second shard. Let's make a few adjustments there too. Maybe not move it out as much as the other one. Then we want it to rotate outside. We move the X, pivot point out like that. Let's drag this so we see where the pivot point has moved to. Yeah, just to the corner there. So when we flip it, rotate it on the y-axis, rotating about that axis. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Rotate it up a bit, and that's cool. That's fine. Let's go to Transform 3D for version 3. Let's try to make the same change for this too. You can do this motion yourself for different shots, however you want the motion to be. I'm just going to speed this up a little bit. So now that we've done for all of them, so I'm going to create anim curves for each of them. So I modify with anim curves. Note that that was 0.58. So I'm going to go to the scale and set that to 0.58. Set the curve ease in, then to chord, then ease out to chord. I go back to tools again. Note that this one is 94.1 minus 94.1. I right click on it, modify with anim curves. I go to modifier, set that to minus 94. Set this ease into chord, set the ease out to chord. Go back to tools, look for the other one, minus 43.7, modify with anim curves. I go there, I can say minus 44, ease into chord, and ease out to chord. Let's go back to tools. We see all the adjusted settings have been done. So I do that across for all the transform nodes. And yeah, you'll see that at the center there's one of them that appears not to have been done. So I've done anim curves for each of them, for the values I've set for each of them. So I noticed that for that second to the last transform, I've not done for that last value there. So I right click on it. I set the value to 0.8, which was the value that was there. Go to easy and set that to chord and set that to chord. And play it, you see that it's breaking apart. Good stuff. And let's bring in a renderer node. Let's put a transform 3D node in between there and connect that to the renderer node. And set that to OpenGL renderer. For transform 3D, let's go to the beginning and position it so it's just perfectly on the screen. Let's adjust the Z level so that it's just perfect. Then bring the media out. Now before we bring the media out, we need to connect renderer 3D to media into. That will create a merge node. Then connect that to media out. Now if we play the media out, so we have that break. So that's how you do it. It's kind of tedious to do this, but that's what this is for. We can convert this to a transition. Let's create a pipe node from which all the values from media 1 can be connected to the merge nodes. So we can convert this to a transform node. And let's pull this back. Now let's select it and create a transition like that. Right click on it, create macro, save as group, fusion, templates, edit, transitions. Let's call it tedious shatter and close. If you copy this footage, paste it in, delete that transition, search for tedious, drag that on there, I will play it. You see we got that. that's it, guys. Next one. This one is from PeeJ. Please check him out. This guy is something else. So this is just, I made a slight modification to it, but I'm not gonna do it. If you want to do a run through it, you can go through his channel. It's in my description. But I'm going to show you what I've done on my own with his transition. Let's right click on the macro tool and ungroup it so you see the layout of what I did. Let's just rearrange things a little bit like that. Let's close inspector so we get to see everything. Yeah. So this is his node tree. This is completely from PeeJ. So let's go to the settings. For the Cube 3D that I changed, his was an image plane. For my Cube 3D, the width and height, this is how I got it. The image plane subdivisions is 5. So Cube 3D for the width is 1 divided by 5. Then for the height is 1080 divided by 20, which is divided by 5. All right. So you see the subdivisions, which is 5. Then the Cube 3D for the other different size, I connected it to the Chrome shader, right? And I connected to Replicate 3D, which creates a replica of all the images across the different subdivisions, right? Then moving on, I use the UV map to now set it. I click on Z and fix and center, then it makes it a full image across all of the shards. Then I make sure I tick lock UVs on animated objects. You can follow PeeJ's tutorial to be able to follow this effectively. I don't want to repeat what he has already done, which is a fantastic tutorial. If you have any questions, do let me know. I'm just doing a run through of how I did everything here, pointing you to the different things I did. Every setting here is basically copied exactly from his tutorial, right? The only change I made was the Cube 3D to create something like a 3D cube effect, and it's not entirely perfect, right? Go to the rectangle mask, and then we set the border as such. We merge that with the background. The background, we set that to gray. If you expand the color there, you see that we set the value to 0.5 and saturation to 0. That gives you 50% gray, right? And we merge that, and when we merge it, we see this fast noise output. We connect that to the Displace 3D. If you drag that Displace 3D to the viewer, you see that the image is slightly deformed and the look of it, right? Then we create another UV map to correct that deformation and drag that to the viewer. You see that that's corrected now. Then we route that through to the Transform 3D to resize it. You zoom out, you see it's resized it so that it fills the screen. I don't want to use a camera 3D and all that. Just put in an ambient light, put it at full strength so it displays the image as it is. The spotlight is just to make the shards shine towards the end of the footage, right? So I increase the spotlight intensity like almost midway through the transition. And that basically is it, and that sits on top of Media in 2. So if we go to the beginning and play it, you see the shards. You see why it's not perfect. If you drag it back, you see those holes there? And they're not really perfect. So if I drag an image plane and connect it there, and I set the subdivision to 1, go to transform divided by 5, which is the number of subdivisions, and I connect that to where Cube 3D is connected to, which is the Replicate 3D. You see that we have the original thing that PeeJ did. Okay guys, now let's go to the next Shatter Transition, which is this sick one which this guy gave us for free. Please check his YouTube channel out, it's in the description. Let's go to Fusion. Open this Cross Dissolve Fusion page. This guy's transition is sick. Let's delete Cross Dissolve, disconnect. I downloaded this asset, link to that description in the description. Drag the Shatter Transition setting into your node grid. Minimize that. You already specified where to connect Media in 1 and Media in 2 too. So I connect as such. Connect that. Connect that. Let's rearrange things a little bit. Yeah, pull that up. Great. Then we need to bring in an alembic mesh. So we press Shift Spacebar, look for alembic, click Add. It will open browser, go to horizontal, pick the asset you provided for free, drag that into that underlay, connect that to the keyframe stretcher, then media out, connect that to the mode switch. And we are essentially good to go. Play it. This is sick. This guy did great for us, guys. This is sick. This is really sick. Each time I play it, even though I did this tutorial, even though I've used this transition a few times, it's just sick. Let's just rearrange things a little bit. Now, the one thing I need to point out is the mode switcher. So you see that when this thing breaks, it moves the image along with it. If you want it to just be a mask on the image, you tick the UV matte switch. So if you see the image move back and forth, you see it's just, if I move it back and forth now, see that? It's just a mask on the image. It's not moving the image along. I want to create like a custom control for it. So I go to merge one, edit control. I type mode with double E so as not to conflict with the mode that is created there. The range 0, 1, allowed 0, 1. Then let's go to multi-button control, type move, add, then mask, add, tick button, click OK. And we link it to, I will link that mode switcher. So we right click on it, and expression, we type merge 3D, merge one.mode with double E. And we're good to go. So if we change this to mask or move, we see everything is done. So let's make this into a transition. Select everything, create a macro. Let's go to merge one and find mode, tick on it, give it the actual name you want, mode, then go to file, save as group, fusion, templates, edit, transitions, and let's give it a name. I give it glass shatter, and let's just override what we had before. Save, yes, close. Let's go to edit page. Let's make a copy of this footage. Click, paste it in, delete this transition in between there, and look for the glass shatter and pull that in. Let's play it. Tell me this is not sick. This is stupid sick. Thanks, this guy. I don't even know how to pronounce your name, guy, but wow. This is not my idea. This is all his idea. I'm just showing you how it works. Check him out, please. He has some fantastic things there. So guys, thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe, and hope you learned one or two things here. And have a nice one, guys. Have a nice one.